Hello, everybody. Welcome to another week of Cloud Connect. Ryan, it's a big week this week.
It's a very big week.
We're sitting at home in our home offices, tuning in live.
But
a lot of our friends, colleagues, people we know, are in the Windy City.
This is the first in-person Ignite I've missed.
Really?
Yep.
This is how many in a row? Is this 10 now, or how many have we had?
Well, COVID broke the gap. Right. I think it started in like 2015 or something when it switched from where it used to be to Ignite in Chicago. So the first one was in Chicago years ago.
So was this like year 10 then, essentially?
Essentially.
So you have gone previous 9, either in
COVID. So 2020, 2021, 2022, there was no in-person Ignite.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's always a blast. It's right. If you're not there now, obviously you're not going this year. But if you ever get a chance and you're a huge nerd who likes the Microsoft stuff, who works in that environment, there's nowhere else that you're going to get just like force fed a week of news and technology and just it was incredible. Best way to plan for what's coming up next for the next year for you as an organization: show up, right?
Yeah.
Just get there and do stuff.
I'd have to imagine. I don't know, at that point, if you were big into the networking aspect of it, but I mean, talk about an opportunity to meet with and network with other professionals and, folks, like you said, who are big into the industry. I'd have to imagine that's a huge portion of it too.
Everyone's got their name badge on. It says who they work for, and you sit down and know at every meal, I'd find just a random table and sit down and just talk to people. Right? Hey, what do you do? What are you guys working on? I had like a 2-hour-long drunken conversation. Well, I was not drunk, with the CIO of Canada about how they're using Dynamics, which was like not life-changing. It was eye-opening to see how an organization go from the city of Boulder to Canada. It's a very big size difference, right? Like what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's super cool stuff. And I came back to Boulder and I was like, what if we did this? They were like, absolutely not. Like we don't have a team of 200 people who can like manage this service. Oh yeah, okay, cool. What if we did though?
Yeah. Come on, let's push the envelope here a little bit.
Exactly.
Well, let's get into it. What's your what are some of your top things that you've heard, that we've released, talked about? I know there was a whole bunch day one. Obviously there's sure some stuff being talked about today. Another plug quick for your newsletter, which you just finished. What is it called? Publication or number 52 for my lack of ability to articulate some difficult words. The 52nd issue there. That sounds better, doesn't it? Anyways.
It's 1 year on LinkedIn now. So up to like almost 680 subscribers now, I think. Reached a ton of people. It's really cool to see it grow like that. So at this point, it's something I've been doing now for a couple of years internally. This is just a continuation of that. So as I told you, we had a call this morning, and on that hour call, I got next week's newsletter done based solely on stuff they announced yesterday during the keynote, which means I have, at this point, 22 pages of links that I'm going to pare down. And that was from an hour and a half or 2 hours of keynote stuff. So it's just keep on going.
Yeah. I wish I had a little drum roll like sound on here. I'm just looking at this stuff right now. Anyways, what's the biggest thing you talked about or you thought, or biggest announcement you were excited about?
Yeah, there's a couple that were a real surprise. So one was a new piece of hardware from Microsoft, the Windows 365 Link. And the Link is just going to be a small little purpose-built computer that you plug into a monitor, and it boots directly into Windows 365. So it's a wise terminal, a dumb terminal, a remote desktop terminal, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, here you go. Right. So this
Show it quick.
is
Yeah.
yep. It's built to be super secure. There's no way you're going to mess with stuff. You turn it on, boots right into Windows 365. It has a built-in fingerprint reader, so you can Windows Hello for Business your way in. If you don't want to add a Hello for Business capable camera, right? You can still do biometrics. But yeah, dual 4K monitor support, has USB. It's a super cool little device. So it's on April, so we'll see what happens. But the goal is we're looking at more organizations starting to look at how to handle users who maybe don't always need a computer or who have such varied job responsibility. They need something really simple most of the time, and 10% of the time they need a ton of graphics capabilities. Right. This makes it super easy to do.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I say give them a stripped down PC to start with, and then for that 2 hours a month they need it, you just bump it up to super powerful GPU based device and let them go crazy.
I wonder, as I'm scrolling down and reading the comments, I don't know if you did or not, but people are saying, AVD support, AVD. I wonder if that'll eventually happen.
Yeah. Well, and so another thing they announced is a new frontline SKU for Windows 365. So for people who don't know, Azure Virtual Desktop was Microsoft's sort of remote desktop replacement for a while. You as an administrator still have to manage the size of the pool, the size of the machines. Like you're managing everything. It's just you don't manage the hardware. We're doing that for you, right? It's as a service. Windows 365, we took all that away. Now it's just one computer per person. So you're paying a monthly fee per user, and each user just gets a computer in the cloud, or they can access it from wherever. Convenient. No. Is it the cheapest thing? No, but it's pretty easy. And now, here we go. So Windows 365 Frontline. So what we realize is for people who, let's say for a city government, right? They've got the public works people, or even better here, maybe a better example is going to be like the police department. Most line officers don't need their own computer. They're out in a car all day. They come back in. They're going to write their reports on a device. So they share 100 officers share 10 different computers. Mm-hmm. Well, now you can use this tiny little Wise terminal, and instead of having each have to pay a full amount for each user, they can then share a dedicated desktop.
Sure.
And so this is going to make it a lot more cost effective for organizations to use.
Well, and I like that we put, a little bit in here of, hey, when's it going to make sense to use the shared model, the dedicated model? I'm sure as we, move forward in time and this stuff becomes available for purchase, obviously talk with your Microsoft account team, talk with your Microsoft partner you work with to, discuss your specific scenario and figure out what's going to be the best fit for you and your organization.
Yeah. So I know we've got a ton to get through. I'm going to talk about some other things real quick. Okay. Again, anyone has questions, let us know, right? We're around. The next big thing is Windows Server Management enabled by Azure Arc. This was a huge surprise. This is when I talk to customers a lot who were looking at, they've got a lot of on-prem servers, but they're interested in what Azure could do. Azure Arc is a free client you can install on your on-prem servers. It extends your management plane to Azure and gives you some functionality. And I had to always warn them, there are a bunch of tools in Azure that you're going to want to turn on. Those all cost money. Well, now, if you have software assurance on your server licenses, you can turn them on for free. So as long as your device has Azure Arc on it and you have software assurance, these are things like the Azure Update Manager, which lets you start to manage updates directly from Microsoft. So instead of having to manage and maintain separate server infrastructure just to update your other servers, now, as long as they have access to the internet or to a local connected cache, they can grab their updates that way, which now means you can manage them much more easily. There's really good reporting on that. There's an Azure change tracking and inventory. So if you want to see all the files, the registry keys, the hardware, all that stuff, and a month over month or minute over minute look at what's changing in your environment. Cool, it's all there. I think the biggest thing is the Azure machine configuration. This is sort of a desired state configuration upgrade. So how do you make sure your servers are remaining with the settings you need them to have? You use this. You turn this thing on. It's free. So you have software assurance. So you can go right now and start messing with it. Some of the stuff does require you to have 2025 installed, so Windows Server 2025. There's an advanced networking feature that only works with that. But again, click some buttons, turn it on. Why not, right? It's
Hey,
free.
I love that. I love that 4-letter word, FREE.
What a weird thing to see. Like I said, I saw the announcement and I thought, there's no way that's true. But I mean, and to be fair, right, I think the goal for a lot of this is let's make it super easy for organizations to start using it. And once you see how convenient the rest of the Azure stack is,
Yeah.
right, or see it in your head and you go, gosh, what if all of our servers could be managed that way?
Yeah.
Oh, they can. So, yeah, that's one of the big ones. And then sticking kind of with the Azure thing, on moving now to your desktops instead of your servers, Windows Auto Patch has a lot of new features. This is how, if you use Intune, you can run patches against your devices. But now you can do hot patching, which is something we had on server over the last 6-7 months. It's available, meaning you don't need to restart your Windows devices, your desktops, every month for security updates. If you enroll them in Auto Patch, which is free if you have Microsoft 365, F3, G3, or E3 or above, as long as you're enrolled in that and use Auto Patch, it will automatically, once a quarter, devices will get security updates and quality of life updates and do a restart. But the other 2 months of that quarter, security updates happen in the background. Users never see anything, and they're kept up to date security-wise. So now you're going from updating at least once a month to updating every quarter for your devices.
Mm-hmm.
Pardon me. I'm just so excited about all these.
You need a drink of water. I mean, I think something
that.
Hey, this is not sponsored by Starbucks.
I will say, did you see that on the keynote?
Yeah.
That was I really forgot to look up. Like, they sponsored. He was very focused on like making sure everyone could see that logo. He was talking. He was like, anyways.
That's kind of why, every once in a while I take a drink of this water and we kind of just subtly Microsoft security, right? Anyways, I mean, on security though, specifically, that was something that Satya talked obviously a lot about.
Yeah, our Secure Future initiative.
And he made a little comment, and I think, my team, of course, got fired up and we heard it and we focused on it. It was like, hey, this conference is really about purview.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you caught that statement, but it was like something where, hey, we know and our customers know that when you're going to be leveraging the new tools, obviously Copilot, is the buzzword. That's what, probably 75% of the announcements were Copilot related. Security aspect, the compliance aspect, the underlying, having the house in order to be able to leverage the tools, get the value, protect the data. That's where, all those other solutions come into play. So I think it's something that, it'll actually be interesting to kind of maybe tee up a little bit some future conversations we're going to have. Is it next week already, or is it no, because next week's a holiday.
2 weeks. Yeah, next week's a holiday.
2 weeks from now, we're going to have a conversation with one of our colleagues, Lizzie Davis, about how she talks about and uses Copilot, in her daily life and how she articulates it to customers. And, she maybe talks about some of the value outside of the box. She even had a fun little TikTok video she made about using Copilot to help create her sourdough bread.
I have talked to so many people about that. It's become my annoying go-to thing since we talked last week. I've probably talked to half a dozen people since then who brought up AI. We talked about stuff, and I go, "Oh, here's a weird thing I've never thought of using it." and I'm not going to obviously tell. I want her to tell the story. I think it's fantastic, but like I'm already planning. Like, what do I do? Can I use that for Thanksgiving? Right? Can I just again? Well, it'll be too late by then. Who cares? You can use it next Thanksgiving. But it's such an interesting use, and I feel like she's really exemplifying the benefit here, right? Like, sure, if you use Copilot AI for work, that's great. But once you can make it personal, right, and start to use it in a way that like actually benefits the rest of your life, and you see some of the value, it really just it changes it from just this work thing you do to this is a tool that could help me everywhere all the time.
So we're gonna have a fun episode with her, and then we haven't set a date yet, but I think it'll be the following week in December. We're going to have a conversation with a colleague, John, who used to work at Microsoft. Now he's with a partner, and he's seen some pretty interesting stories of organizations who've deployed it and haven't had the guide rails in place, and just like really interesting stories that they've heard from a partner perspective, right? Of, hey, we actually implemented tools with the customers. So he's got some really weird scenarios that have popped up, cautionary tales, but then he's also got some really great business value outcomes and such we can talk about. So that'll be the following week after Lizzie. Again, I haven't published that one yet, but I would say for anybody listening today, we got some fun ones queued up. So just thought I'd quick drop that. But anyways, back to news, Ryan.
All right. So the next big thing that we talked about a lot at the keynote yesterday was Copilot agents. And agents being this new tool that would be available to you. Some of them will be pre-built, but the goal is they will essentially be small custom-built Copilot instances that you can add to various pieces of your environment to accomplish tasks in those environments. So one of the things they talked about was, right, so every SharePoint site will get a Copilot agent natively. I think right now it's saying if you have like 50 or more Copilot licenses in your environment, this turns on for you. The neat thing here is, right, if you're on the SharePoint site itself, you can click on the Copilot button and talk to it. And it using, role-based access control and anything else you have to manage your data access keeps track of that, right? So I could jump on the HR site and look stuff up, but it's only going to return results that I would have access to already, which is why we want to make sure we have good data governance in place before we turn these on, because, whoops, maybe you find something you shouldn't find, but it was available to you. That's super cool, right? Having it there. But also then if you're in a Teams chat, you can mention that bot, you can answer from it outside of SharePoint. And the same will go for any of these Copilot agents, is they will be mentionable in any Microsoft service. So you could be in a Word document, right? Be writing a Word document and say, pull up Copilot, just hit @Copilot name. I need to come up with a way to describe this RACI chart using my current org chart. Can you help me out? And off it goes to build it for you. We also announced as one of these agents is an employee self-service agent that we're providing as sort of a way for you to just bring this on board and see some of the value right away. But the goal is to stream HR and IT related tasks. So some of the examples we gave were things like requesting a new laptop, right? Or getting assistance with Microsoft 365 products and services. Hey, Grant, you're going to start a leave of absence soon. How do you do that? What's that process? Like, what do you need to know about it? Right. So from that same chat, you could ask that question, and it would use all the documentation that HR already has available to pull that data in and give you those answers right off the bat. Benefits, payroll, whatever, right? So the goal for this is it ties into things like Workday, SAP, ServiceNow. There's a number of other ones you can grab, but also from your internal stuff as well. So Microsoft's hope with this is it can seem overwhelming, I think, to like it's easy to envision this glorious city where everything's automated. Hard to imagine how you build that, but we're going to help by giving you a bunch of blueprints. Right? You plug it in and just start testing it, see how it goes for you. That one's currently in private preview. You can request access to it. You can sign your company up to see if you can get access to it. Make sure you have permission to actually do that internally before you try to get us to give you one of these bots. But again, right, this ties directly into Teams. It ties directly into SharePoint, to all these other services. And so you can just mention it or jump into Copilot and start asking questions, and it'll load the bot natively as it needs to answer your questions.
I got one. How about the 0-day hack quest? Did you look into that at all?
$4 million prize.
Yeah, $4 million bucks. That's not messing around.
That'll be for people as they discover the things.
Right.
But this is, Microsoft's been doing this for a while, which I appreciate. Right. This is sort of us increasing the size of the prize pot for that. But yeah, it's part of our secure future initiatives, right? The goal is trying to get ahead and stay ahead of some of those things. And the best way to do that is to get a bunch of like white and gray hat hackers excited about finding security flaws, and then reward them for doing that work and doing it responsibly.
Yeah. Unfortunately, like $4 million is a lot of money, but unfortunately, when you look at some of the ransomware cases that come up and the amount of money that is transferred for those type of things.
Yeah. The downside is you do that, you have to like not live in a normal country, and
right.
you have to launder that money somewhere. The benefit for this is you could be at home, mess around with some stuff. You find a 0-day, let us know.
Yep. And we will reward you for your findings.
Exactly. We'll pay you for it, man. Like,
apparently, even you get to go on an event. There's some people that get to, the top 45 researchers get to go on a trip to
prison.
Come on,
you're getting money. It's fine.
Anyways, well, hey, maybe you got maybe one more.
Yeah.
You're going to have obviously the extensive list sent out in the newsletter. The announcements are still coming out as we speak.
Correct. We'll probably be a couple of weeks of that, I feel like.
Yeah. But how about one last?
I think the one last big one here I think is really cool is we have a new administrator protection function that's going to be built into Windows moving forward. This is in response to the CrowdStrike issue that happened earlier this year, right, where CrowdStrike released an update and ended up bricking a bunch of computers.
What? I wasn't aware of that happening.
Yeah, it was a little thing. It only affected a couple small companies, I think.
It only shut down half the country, the world.
Yeah, all the flights from Delta, American, United.
Grounded. Anyway, it's not something to laugh about. Why are we laughing?
Yeah, correct. Defender for Endpoint, by the way, has never done that. Great product. So this new administrator protection will essentially, we're working with CrowdStrike and a bunch of other security vendors to move the control plane that they use, like for their access, out of the kernel enough that the kernel can stay active. So if something does happen again and people lose access to their computer, that you as an administrator can essentially push scripts or updates to a device, even if it can't boot fully. So if something goes wrong, right? Maybe there's some sort of virus that hits and locks your computer down, whatever. You will still be able to, as an administrator, there's obviously huge security controls have to be in place for this to be possible, right? These are keys to the kingdom kind of access here. But the benefit is we're giving people access to some of these tools and this stuff. So with Microsoft products, you can still get to your device, push updates, run scripts, get access to it, even if everything else seems to be broken. This is going to be really helpful, I think, for organizations who, if this ever happens again, right, where a security vendor pushes out a patch that breaks some stuff, okay, we can still get you, right? Microsoft can help. You're not going to touch them all individually. As long as they're on the network at all, we can help. So that'll be rolling out here very soon. Again, it's for most people, they'll never notice this, and hopefully it never has to be used. Wouldn't that be great, right? Like, this is just a tool that's there. We hope it never gets used, but if something does come up, you'll have some more resources available to you now, and probably a co-pilot to help you. Right? Just go tell your Intune co-pilot.
That'd be a pretty good assumption.
Yeah, it would be, wouldn't it? Co-pilot for
all
everything.
right. Well, thanks, Ryan, for obviously giving us updates on all that stuff. Like I mentioned earlier in the conversation, we've got a couple really great guests we're going to be hosting as we get into December. Obviously enjoy next week, holiday week, for Thanksgiving. And we look forward to seeing everybody in a couple weeks.
Yeah, we'll see you in December.
All right. Take care.
You too.
See ya.
Bye.